Legends Festival 2022 was a lot better than you think. Now, I know a lot of people have a bunch of mixed opinions on this Legends Festival, especially when you compare it to last year's Legends Festival. People kind of regard that celebration as probably the best celebration in Legends, either that or maybe like the first anniversary. People kind of consider those some of the top tier anniversary or celebrations, right? And although this Legends Festival did start off rough, I do think it ended off on a very good note. But if you actually take a look at the whole celebration as in its entirety, you'll notice that it's actually not as bad as people like to make it seem like. For instance, I have this Legends Festival 2021 pulled up here, and we're going to be going side by side and seeing whether or not this year's Legends Festival is better, worse, or around the same as last year's festival, and basically seeing if people are correct in saying that this festival is ass, or this wasn't as hype, this was whatever, when compared to last year's Legends Festival. The biggest reason why people don't like this Legends Festival, this one right here, is because of the banners. And not just because of the banners, but the way it was formatted. So back during the 4th anniversary, they adopted this model of, 3-part anniversaries, each part having one banner, and each banner having one LF and one sparking unit with some EX units, right? And then the 3rd banner being the Ultra unit for that year. So for that celebration. So 4th anniversary, we did get MBI Goku as the first part, Dragon Fist Goku as the second one, and then Ultra Super Vegeta for the 3rd part for part 3. And many people weren't really happy with that system, right? With that format. And it's understandable why people would say that, right? Because it just felt like, a regular monthly LF banner that we would get, because we just got an LF once per month, and that was it. And there wasn't any all-star banner, so it was just during the celebration. And many people weren't happy with that because it was kind of slow in changing the meta. I think that was the biggest problem people had, is that if they drop these units very slowly like this, 2 units per month like that, it's not going to have a big enough impact on the meta, and you won't see as much diversity. And like, if you think back at last year's Legends Festival, we got this banner and this banner at the same time. 2 LFs, 2 sparking units dropped at the same time, and they function on 2 different teams, so you'll see an increase in meta diversity. But what this did actually is it kind of made all the previous unit almost obsolete. Like, the level of power creep that these 2 banners introduced was very, very big. Like, you had units like FSK Gohan, Revival Gohan, Perfect Cell, all these units that dropped right before this Legends Festival, gone in an instant. SS3 Zenkai Goku out of here, Angel Vegeta out of here. They were gone. And so they introduced a pretty big level of power creep, and the meta, I wouldn't say was that great, like that good. It was basically either you ran Future or you ran Mono Purple. Mono Purple was the most common team to, and it was, let me tell you, it was very, very common. And then obviously when we went back, we continued, and then we got, I don't know if it's going to show here, but we did get, dude, can I scroll down, please? Okay, I can't scroll down, but it's not going to show here apparently, but we did get also Ultra Gogeta for part 2. And that further, I guess Ultra Gogeta did increase the diversity in it. Now it wasn't only Mono Purple, but you also saw fusions, you saw a bit more Saiyans, so that was good as well. But, when you look at these banners, the biggest upside in this banner, and I'll say this hands down, this banner was a lot better just because we had triple the Z power and sparking range times 30%. That's a big upgrade from what we had. But prior to this banner, we were only getting 10% sparking rates, so regular sparking rates, and regular Z power. We didn't have any double Z power or none of that. This was the beginning of them adopting a double Z power model going forward. But this triple Z power is never going to be it's never going to be beaten, because I don't think they're going to bring it back, right? So it just goes to show that they didn't bring it back even here. But I will say that the banners here were pretty good in terms of value, especially when you compare it to these banners. These banners, I mean, if you take a look at here, Sword of Hope Trunks was good. The new units were good. Aside from them, SSB Vegeta was good at that time. Future Gohan seems like he's timeless at this point, so that's a good unit as well. And then the Broly banner was kind of, the Goku and Vegeta banner was kind of ass because they had these two. They weren't really needed. Full Power Frieza was actually very good, so that's good. But in terms of units on the banner, I would say look at the step up banners on these ones, yo. Dragon Fist Goku, Trunks, Rose, who just got his NK, Droid, Zamasu, Future Gohan, and then the new Trunks and Vegeta. This is such an insane banner. Then we take a look at this. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, UI Goku, Gogeta, Jiren 17, and Bardock, and the Tag Force. This also is another crazy banner. Like, these banners were crazy good when compared to these ones. The only upside on this is that it had the 30% sparking rate, right? Sorry, no, the triple Z power, because this also had 30% sparking rate. Now, before we continue further, I will say the biggest, I guess, upside the last year's Legends Festival had was the banners and the reveal, because people might not like to agree with this, but the reveal plays a big factor in generating hype for these celebrations. And I don't think I'm alone in saying this, that the reveals for this year's last year's Legends Festival were incredible. They were one of the best. A lot of people would consider them the best reveals in this game's history. And in contrast, this one wasn't so great, right? Tag Force were hype, but, you know, just being introduced to a single banner was something that people were not a fan of, so that kind of killed the hype. And the Tag Force themselves, although they were hype, you know, not everyone was crazy hype about them. Goku and Vegeta being from one of the best Dragon Ball movies ever, and then introducing a new mechanic into the game, the tag switch up mechanic, just further amplified the hype. And then just anything from this movie is just significantly amplified in terms of hype, right? So that's an advantage here. And then Sword of Hope Trunks, if we compare Sword of Hope Trunks to the Trunks and Vegeta banner, I would honestly say Sword of Hope Trunks is much more hype than this Trunks and Vegeta, because I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of this unit. Like, don't get me wrong, the unit is good, the LF is beautiful, but just me, I wasn't really a big fan of the scene in the anime, and I think a lot of people share that sentiment in saying that they weren't really hyped for them. And they also did not even have a proper reveals for them. They just dropped the video, and there you go. So they didn't really generate that much hype either. So that's one thing to note. So right off the bat, these units were, the hype level is, I think the hype level from these banners, from these units, is what kind of, I guess you could say, overrate that year's Legends Festival. And it kind of outshines what we actually got during this Legends Festival. And I feel like people are blinded by how hyped the reveal was and can't really objectively see which celebration was better, right? Which I don't blame, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to play as with these units because they're hype, right? And if you're not able to capitalize on the hype factor on these celebrations, you're losing out on a big chunk of the celebration quote-unquote hype. So I don't blame people for thinking that. Then we obviously move on. Well, once again, we don't have the banners here, but we move on, and we did get the Ultra banner. I will say, Ultra Gogeta, the Super Gogeta, did have the initial hype of being the first ever summonable Ultra unit, and of course being Gogeta, which was also very hype. But I will give it to Ultra Gogeta Blue. I think his reveal was probably a bit better than the Ultra Gogeta. I would say they're close, but just Gogeta Blue and him actually feeling like an Ultra character, everything about it, and then, you know, just the expectations were kind of low because of how poor the reveals were, and then he just blew them out of the water. It genuinely got me so damn hype after seeing his reveal, and I will give the edge slightly to Ultra Gogeta Blue, but don't get me wrong, Super Gogeta was in fact a very hype unit, and he definitely delivered. He also felt like an Ultra character. All his animations were clean, so he was amazing. So both those characters were very good. So that's pretty much it for the units. If you actually take a look at the units itself that we got pretty much the same amount of units. It was just kind of split into different parts, and I think that's the biggest reason why people don't really like this Legends Festival. It's because of the three-part format where they didn't drop these two banners at the same time. And I'll tell you, the reason why they don't do this is because they know for a fact that if they drop two banners at the same time, people are going to be summoning a lot more on one specific banner. In this case, I would say the Tag Force are much more hyped than Trunks and Vegeta. And in this case, I'm pretty sure they got it from this, their data or whatever. I'm telling you, like 75% of people summoned more for Goku and Vegeta than Sword of Hope Trunks. That's just a guess, but they really revealed Sword of Hope Trunks and then Goku and Vegeta, and people just forgot about Sword of Hope Trunks. Like, that's literally how it went. So I don't blame people, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they went to this new format where they drop one banner at a time and they can basically maximize profit, right? So I don't really see it as a bad thing, because even when this banner dropped, this banner was still live, so you can technically wait and see what the second banner is before something on the first one. So I don't really, it's not that big of a deal for me, but I would have liked to see both banners at the same time, but it's not as big a deal breaker as it is for a lot of people, right? So that's pretty much it for the banners. Now is where we get to why I think this Legends Festival is actually a lot better than people give it credit for. And it's mainly because of, so the tickets, we got the same tickets. We get these tickets here all the time. Then we got the festival plates, which is pretty much the same. Where is it? Festival plates, basically the same thing. I don't think they did this 10 days, 1 Legends Limited. So that's a plus for the 2022 Legends Festival. So that's that. And then this is where it is. Hoi Poi. This is where I think this year's Legends Festival got a huge lead over last year's. So last year's Legends Festival had the Hoi Poi system, obviously, and I don't remember exactly how many Chrono Crystals and multi-Z power you got from this, but I will say I think it was a bit more than what we got for this Hoi Poi. But this Hoi Poi introduced so much resources, it's actually overwhelming. The amount of resources they dropped for this Hoi Poi, and they doubled it too, because they reset it when the Trunks and Vegeta banner drop, and you're able to get even more resources on top of that. You basically had infinite energy, infinite skip tickets, near infinite erasers with all the raids, infinite what else did I say? Infinite Zenny, infinite souls. You can max out pretty much all the resources just from this Hoi Poi. It's actually insane how much resources we got. And personally, I think that when you consider all that together, it completely blows this one out of the water. Like, I don't even think it's close. We did get Z power and Chrono Crystals in this one, but I do think we got like a slightly bit more Chrono Crystals and LFZ power. But I will gladly take less CC and less Legends Limited Z power if we got as much resources as we did in this one. It was insane. The amount of Z plus equipment I was able to get. By the way, for the raids, I don't think they have it shown here. Oh, actually, it does show here, but the raids weren't even the same as the last one. This year's raids, it's similar to the 4th anniversary. We were given, I think it was like a raid every banner, so like 3 or 4, I think 3 raids. Last year, I believe we got like 1 every week or something like that. So maybe more raids, but we had a lot of the same amount of CC, same amount of Z power, but we had a lot of erasers. 2,000 erasers per raid. I feel like people undervalue or underrate the value of erasers, because equipments in this game is so damn important that being able to have all these erasers and just guaranteed upgrading your equipments and getting them as peaked out as possible is so great. Now, the one downside is you have to grind the raid, and it's a pretty tedious grind because you have to actually grind a lot, right? But if you're willing to put the time in to grind it and get all the resources, it is so damn worth it. Like, the erasers are just way too valuable, and I feel like people underrate that. I can't stress enough how important these equipments are. When I see people with like A rank or S rank equipments, especially when you have all these raids, it just kind of bothers me. Unless you don't have time to grind for these raids, which I completely understand. But if you even have the time to grind the raids and you don't end up grinding it and you complain about it, it's just so stupid, man. It's just so stupid. Like, if you have the time, just go ahead, grind them, get the erasers. It's really worth it. So that's that. Then we get to the Zenkai LF. Well, last year was Super Vegito. This year was Rose. I mean, I don't think anyone would debate on which one's better. Super Vegito was much better than Rose. Super Vegito broke the servers, caused like an 8-hour maintenance, and he was, I would say, a top 5 unit on release. Rose, I would say like a top 10. He was ran on the best team in the game at the time, Mono Purple, while Rose, I guess you could say, was ran on one of the better teams, Future. But I wouldn't say like Future was like the best team in the game, right? So That's that. And then what else did we get? We got some free-to-play Zenkais. Did we get free-to-play Zenkais? I don't remember. We got free-to-play units. The Frieza, who was good on release. And we had the Broly for this one, who was a demon. He's actually very good. So there's that. Legends Festival Face-Off. We didn't have that last year. It's not really that big of a deal, but it's cool. Choice Battle. Did we get any Choice Battle in here? Probably not. We didn't get any Choice Battle. Okay, no Choice Battle. Legends Tuesday we didn't get last year, so that's also another dub. And I think just looking at it all, and then obviously we got to play as Shallot Diffusion. So that was really cool. He's not obtainable, which sucks, but just getting to play him as him and the cutscene and all that was such a... I think that was really well done. It was so great in the story, so that's another plus. So if you actually just take a look at it as a whole, I personally think that this year's Legends Festival might have been better than last year's. That might be a hot take, I don't know, but I feel like people, like I said in the beginning, I feel like people are just kind of blinded by how hyped this Legends Festival was, which I don't blame, because this was truly a lot more hype than this year's. Like, that is no debate. This one was just infinitely hype. But if you actually look at it for what it is, I do think that this year's 2022 Legends Festival was slightly better than last year's Legends Festival. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. The one thing I will say is I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get some sort of new mechanic added to the game, because if you actually look back, the first Legends Festival with UI Sign, we were introduced to the unique gauge. Then last year's Legends Festival, we were introduced to the tag mechanic, the switchability and all that stuff. And so it was kind of disappointing not seeing anything new for this Legends Festival. You could technically argue like Ultra Gogeta Blue's counter is new, but that's, at the end of the day, that's still really a unique gauge and not a separate mechanic added to the game. So I'm not really going to count that. So it is kind of disappointing not seeing a new mechanic, because I thought, every year we were going to get one. But, it is what it is. It's not too much of a big deal, but it's just something to add on. So that's that. So let me definitely let me know what you guys think. Do you think this Legends Festival was bad? Was it trash? Was it better than last year's, or was last year's still like the best celebration of the game? So definitely let me know. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a bunch of people saying last year's was hype, which I understand why, but definitely drop a comment letting me know. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe, because it's so important, so don't forget. Other than that, have a great day. See ya.